Now you have done all such exercise. You have made the expert, you have read the articles, you have read the government policies, you have seen the present situations you are living in the society, present need of the society, and you see some areas, and you have come to know that okay, I can proceed in this area, and I can, with my capacity, with my capability, I can do the research within this duration of time. Once you confirm, then the next target is to, you have to go to find the exact problem to work on that. So you need to now, after selecting the area of interest, you need to find your objectives to solve the problem. In that particular area, because area of interest is too big, now you have to narrow down that area of interest and try to find out the objectives now. What your research objectives. So how you can find out the research objectives? So for finding the research objective, generally people adopt these methods: statement of the problem in general way, understanding the nature of the problems, surveying the available literature, developing the ideas through the discussions, rephrasing the research problem into the working proposition. If you can follow these steps, then at the last you will meet some objectives, and that objectives will be clear and unambiguous so that you can proceed. So whenever you say that statement of the problem in general way, so what you need actually, at the beginning, you have to specify the problems. That may not be too narrow actually. So people say that okay, yes, you can within, say, if you are saying that okay, I am working on the machine learning area. So this is the area of interest, and within the machine learning, then you can say that I'm going to work on the medical classification of the medical data. So classification in the of the cancer disease or something like this you can do. So this is, you have stated the problem in some general way, but this is the general statement, and this can be too big, but it should be less as compared with your area of interest. So for that actually you can do some pilot survey, means you, all such things, reading the articles, contacting the peoples, all such things you need to do. So first you need to specify the problem in some general way, and then further what you need to understand the nature of the problem. Nature of the problem means, if somebody say that okay, I am interested to work on the language learning. Now if you see that okay, I am interested to work on the language learning, and this is the area of interest, and within this area of interest you may say that okay, I am working on the on learning some formal languages, because language can be you may stick that okay, I will try to learn on the some language which is the context free language. Like context free means just like the programming language, means where in every programming statement we have the clear statements, we don't have double meanings. So if this, that is also a language, programming language is also a language. So if you want to learn on that, then you need to search the origin of the problem. So you should means you are going to understand the nature of the problem. Why you are going to understand? Because you need to know that whether how mature this field is, and what is the origin of which is the seminal work done in this kind of field. Meaning to say is that you have to understand the nature of the problem. Whether this is the new problems, like the pandemic situation, you may work on the pandemic situation. This is the new, if this is the new problems, you may not find methods available, or you may find a very small number of methods, because people, the work may not have done much in that new fields. So you have to understand the nature of the problem. Once you understand the nature of the problem, then you will come to know that okay, from where you can get the support, and from where you can have the, if you are interested, then from where you can get the data and methodology, what people have used the methodology, and from where you can get the articles to read on that area, or who are the scientists, those who are working in this particular area. So you have to understand the nature of the problem. Means you need to also, you need to know that the leader of that field, who are the leader of that field. Once you know the leader of that field, then simply you need to follow those people, and you need to access the materials produced by them, and then you come to know that what are the methodologies or what are the methods available for this kind of research. So that's why, and that's why actually we need to go for the surveying the literature. So whenever you want to specify the problems in maybe in some general way, even you have to go for the literature search. And literature search is very important, and because with the help of the literature search, actually you will come to know that it may also happen that at the beginning you have decided that okay, I will proceed the work in the this area, your area of interest, and but while doing the literature search you may find out that okay, this is too difficult for me, and then you can say that okay, I cannot proceed here and I can go for some different area of my, I have to, you have to select some different area to conduct the research. So surveying the literature is very very important. So people have produced the ideas, people have produced the knowledge. You see that what methods have been available, what methods have been produced by the scientist, and you have to carefully study all the materials. And you need to know that just I told you that you have to find out the pioneer of that field, who are the pioneer and who has given the seminal work, who are the leaders who are engaged currently in this kind of area, so that you can read their articles, you can they have published the paper, they can follow them and you can read their papers, you can read their books there, you can if possible try to meet personally to discuss with them. In this way you are going to identify the research gaps. And means you are you say that okay, yes, on behalf of literature survey, on behalf of the group discussion, on behalf of the meeting the expert, on behalf of the discussing with a group or brain is doing the brainstorming session, you come to know that okay, yes, this field is the interest to me and this is the gap, and that is the problem. You can specify the gap, and that is the you are going to specify the problem in the some general way. And gap the problem is that is the gap available in the, because you are not, you may not be the first person to do the research. People have done the research, and on those research you have studied their research and you have studied their methods also. But with based on your experience and based on your knowledge you are living, you might have the environment where you are living, you may have some different kind of environment, and you have learned from that environment. On behalf of all such understanding, you may be able to, you may think that this problem can be proceeded in this different way, and since people have not attended this particular objectives, and then you may be try to solve that particular objectives on behalf of your understanding. So surveying the literature is very important. Otherwise, without surveying the literature, if you are proceeding for the research, you can do the research, and once you publish the paper, then people will, reviewer will say that okay, already this work has been done and this is not the new thing for me. If you are going to write some algorithm for the searching of the data, then people will say that okay, I have already two methods available for searching of the data and you have already produced that method, so this is the useless. So that's why you should know surveying the literature is very very important. Otherwise, if you don't survey the papers, you will not be able to publish your research work in good forums, because your paper will be rejected. Why? There is a chance that your paper will be rejected because the work already might have been done, and you may also you may be your results may be the same as the earlier results. So people will say that okay, your results are same as compared with the earlier results, and this happens once you submit the paper. Then once you receive the comments, then people reviewers mention that okay, the results you have produced is already been produced by this particular article, and they give the link to you to see the articles. So that's why literature, importance of literature survey is very very important, and this is crucial for us. And also, once you do the literature survey, this literature survey is actually needed for referencing also. Whenever you have done the work, you have to give the reference also. Means you have to give the reference that okay, I have read this kind of articles and these gaps I have find out, discovered, and I'm now I have proceeded the research work, I conducted the research, and this is my finding, this is my conclusion. And then side you can give the references. So reference is very important. If you don't give the reference, then people will not entertain, people will not uh, see that okay, with to who, what are the baselines for your work. So referencing is very important. So which material can become the reference, you should also know. So generally, the research published research paper in the highly reputed journals, or published research paper in the current issues, or current research work, government policies, and standard books published in that particular area, okay, or the books having the ISBN number, maybe the local, it is not the, it is not matter. So all such become the referencing. But if you say that, okay, I can give the reference that, okay, I have attended the workshop, and at the workshop, after say for example, at the research methodology, expert has mentioned this thing, and this is, you cannot write that as the reference, because that material is not available. That material is maybe available for you only. How people will verify, how people will go to your reference? So your reference should be widely available, your reference should be internationally available, it should be reachable to the every person, those who are conducting the research, those who are reading your article, they should they should reach the articles you have cited. So that's why you should give the reference to those articles, those are published in good journals, those are published in the standard journals and available in the indexed in the databases. So people will access from those databases, and they will come to know the details about the definitions or some whatever, or you can say that based on this findings I'm going to enhance further. So that finding, people, if somebody is wanted to know what are the previous finding, what research have been done in this case, and because you are going to extend the work, previous work, so you are going to extend the previous work, and you have to give the reference the previous work. Okay, you can say that, okay, this is the previous work done in this paper, and people will access. So it's material you are going to cite, references you are going to give the reference, and that reference must be accessible to the readers actually. That's why this is the importance of studying the material. So you can develop your idea, you can develop the research problems while going to the discussions. Okay, then at the beginning it may not be too narrow to work on, but somewhat near to the working proposition, you can say that. So you may have you are going to write the research problem in some general way, and that then you can, after having such ideas, you can list the statement, then further go for the rephrasing. So for the rephrasing, actually what you need, you can read that statement again and again, or you can discuss with other colleagues, those who are working in that area. Okay, so that actually you can see the actual difficulties, and you will say that, okay, how you can find the objectives so that you can work. So after making the statement in more general way, you must have to rephrase it. So you have to access again the literature, you can also meet the people, and this is the process you need to do. Again, go for some literatures, you may find some new literature, based on that you can further refine your ideas. So you have some research objectives on behalf of that. So whenever you are going to list your statement in more general way, then you are going to rephrasing, means refining the statement so that it become the narrow. And once it become the narrow, and it will become the objectives so that you can work on. So this is one just example I have found in the net. You can, this is not the example I have prepared. So this says that why is the productivity in Japan so much higher than in India? So say that this statement, somebody is going to study this field. Somebody may be interested in this field and says that, okay, why is the productivity in Japan so much higher than in India? Now, if with this statement, how you can proceed the research work? Because whenever you are going for the research work, and whenever you are going to produce the objectives, then it should not have the ambiguity. So since you are going to prepare the objectives of your research work, so it should not have any ambiguity. It must be the clear and unambiguous. So you must actually know the difference between objective and subjective. Whenever you say subjective, then it may have the different meaning to different persons. That's why once you are going to define the research problem, it should not be subjective, but it should be objective. Objective means it should have the same meaning to everyone. So objective, once you go for the objective, then it should have the same meaning to everyone. Today I will take class at 5 p.m. Means everyone knows that okay, I will take class at 5 p.m. So this is the objective statement. So that's why if you go for this, why is the productivity in Japan so much higher than the India? See what you mean by the productivity. You have to, this is the ambiguity you have. So you have to space with what industries the same is related. Why is the productivity in the Japan? Which kind of industry you are going to encounter? So this kind of questions you may have. You cannot proceed with this statement. If somebody has mentioned this objective, this is the objective. You have to make the objective clear and it should be unambiguous, so that you have prepared your objectives. You have to prepare the objectives, and with the same objective, if somebody else is going to conduct the research, then he should also be able to conduct the research, because there is no different meaning in that objective. What you want to find out, he will also want to find out, because objective is clear. So this should have the objective. It should not have the ambiguity. Otherwise, you are going to conduct the research, you have published the paper, and you have conducted the research, and somebody has different meaning in that of that word, and he may try to verify in that particular way and say that okay, yes, this is not the result I am interested, because the meaning of this word is this, this can be this also. So that's why your objective must be clear. So considering all such things, now you have to further go further, rethink and rephrase. So you have to, so after rethinking, you may come up with this kind of a statement. So like this is the statement you have. What factors were responsible for the higher level of this is the higher level productivity of Japan's manufacturing industry. You have specified now manufacturing industries during the decade, and you have specified the specific period during the decade 1971 to 1980s relative to the India's manufacturing industry. This is somewhat narrow statement as compared with the previous statement. And if you go for the further rephrasing, further rethink, then you may come up with this kind of statement. To what extent did labor productivity in 1971 to 1980 in Japan exceed that of the India in respect of 15 selected manufacturing industry? Of 15 selected manufacturing industry, you have to list. आपको list करना पड़ेगा. Or what factors were responsible for the productivity differential between the two countries in the by the industry? These are the somewhat narrow as compared with the previous one. So that's why at the beginning you may not go to the direct objective. So at the beginning you can frame some statement what you want to do, then doing the literature search, doing the meeting the person, contacting the teachers, experts, and rethinking yourself based on your experience, you can further refine so that you can work on that. So that was the example. This is highly technical example I am going to give, and those who are computer background, they may understand, and those who are not computer background, just to think as the, you don't go for the exact meaning of the technical word written here like grammatical inference or something else. You just see that how from the general statement how you can proceed for the narrow statement. So someone say that okay, my area of interest is grammatical inference. Somebody asks that okay, yes, from me, and I will say that okay, yes, my area is grammatical inference. And for your information, I say that grammatical inference means this is the area within the artificial intelligence. This is highly demanded, highly emerging area of research, and still this is the current area of research for many researchers. So within the grammatical inference, actually, we need to learn the unknown language. So you may come to know some language, but there is no, but you don't know how this language is constructed, how the sentences of that language is constructed. So you may be interested to find out the pattern hidden in that particular sentences, means structure of the sentences. So this is the grammatical inference. Like you are giving some examples to the robot is going to learn. So you have supplied the examples, and on the basis of your examples, your robot should go for some determining the pattern, and on behalf of the pattern, it can frame some kind of rule setup based on the examples. So this is the inferencing based on the example. So grammatical inference is basically for learning the new languages. So some unknown, you have some unknown language, how you can learn the, if only you have the sentence, somebody says that, okay, yes, these are the 10 sentences or 20 sentences I know from this language, but I don't know how these languages have been generated and what is the structure of these language. So you may need to learn the grammar of those language, means you need to learn the grammar, how sentences are formed, means you need to learn the pattern on the on the basis of your example, so that with the help of that pattern, with the help of that structure, you should be able to produce the same statement, or you should be also able to produce some new statement if, that may not be given you during the learning process. So somebody has given the 100 examples. If you have learned the hypothesis, you have learned the structure of the sentence, so you will come to know that, okay, this is the grammar rules, just like you have the English grammar, simply understand. So you will come to know that, okay, this is the grammar rules for for the sentence. For and every sentence, whatever example you have given, every sentence can be derived with the help of this kind of grammar rules. Or with the help of this grammar can also be generated, it is possible to generate some new sentences also. This is the grammatical inference area, and this is highly useful. This is the machine learning. This is the area within the machine learning, and this is the very challenging and mature area. This area has been originated since 1967 due to EMR Gold and LG Valiant. So this is highly mature. Within this area, say some, I say that, okay, yes, I am working on the grammatical inference. Then this is the area. Then I have to, within the, since grammatical inference is many things, whether I am interested to learn, there are those who are computer background, they know that there are four, in the Chomsky hierarchy, there are four types of grammars: type 0, type 1, type 2, and type 3. So means in simple way, you can say somebody has context-free grammar, like programming language is context-free. Some has more general grammar, some has some restricted grammars like regular grammars or context-sensitive grammars like this. So this is too general statement. If I say that I am going to learn the models for context-free grammar, so if I say that I am going to work on the grammatical inference, so which kind of grammar I am going to learn? So I have written the statement so that it is narrow as compared with the area of interest. So I have specified now I am going to go for the learning the context-free grammar, but still I am not able to proceed with this work because I don't know from where I can get the examples and what kind of examples I will have, so that I can study the literature, I can read the papers. I have if somebody know that, okay, the LG Valiant and Emar Golds, Sakakibara, Aibara, Dana Englund, all such people are working in this area. Somebody has gone to those papers and they find out that, okay, yes, most of the people have worked on the regular grammars and most of the people have used this kind of examples and they are not able to find out the answers. So you may come up with the some, after the literature search and discussions, you may come up with the statement like this. So I found out that learning from the simple positive examples is not possible. So I can say that learning context-free grammars from the positive structural example. So instead of positive examples, I have given the structural example. Means I'm there is some hints I'm going to give. So this is somewhat more objective, means I'm going to learn, I'm telling you that I'm going to learn the context free grammar from the positive, I'm not, I have specified positive structural example. So I need to mention actually what I mean by the structural example, but those who have the knowledge about this, they will come to know that yes, he is going to learn the grammar from the positive structural example. But still, somebody may go for further narrow down, and it can further remove some kind sort of ambiguity and doubt and say that, okay, I am going to learn the context-free grammar from positive structural example using the tree automata. I have specified now I am going to learn the context-free grammar from the positive structural example, and I am using the tree automata method. Now, this is the objective statement, and those who are working say that this is the objective statement, and this is the qualitative kind of research work. So this is the objective statement, and this is the with this objective somebody can proceed. So this is one example. Other example which is not technical, you can say to read itself I have framed this for understanding purpose. See, somebody says that, okay, I am going to work, my area of interest is impact of pandemic situations. I want to know the impact of pandemic situations. This is the area of interest. So if this is the area of interest, then okay, yes, people say that yes, this area of interest is highly relevant because we are facing the problem in this pandemic situations. So this is once you say that, okay, yes, I am doing the work in the pandemic situation, so everybody will see your face that, okay, yes, he is doing the work in the pandemic situation. Good, very good. So this is the relevance. Okay, most people are going to ask for the answer for this pandemic situation. So it is highly highly relevance for us, and highly people immediately you say that, okay, I'm working on this pandemic situation. People will say that you are going to work, great job you are going to do. So this kind of relevance actually you need. So whenever you are going to select the area of interest, this kind of emerging research problem you need to actually select, so that people will say that yes, okay, you are working on this. So from this area of interest, I can write the statement in some general way. See, pandemic situations can be anything. It is not the only COVID-19 situation. Earlier also there was the pandemic situation. So which pandemic situation I am going to study? This is too big actually. So I have to write the statement, say, impact of COVID-19 in India. So I am going to study, somebody come to know that, okay, yes, I am going to see the impact of COVID-19 in India. And still, I have specified that, okay, COVID-19 effect I want to see, and it is narrow as compared with the if I say just pandemic situation. But what kind of impact I want to see? Whether I want financial loss, or whether I want the persons who become the jobless, or person who are in tension, or person who uh, due to the pandemic situation and they separated with their families, or anything. So what impact I am going to study here? This is again there is a question. So it is not the objective statement. People will say that what impact you are going to study. So you can say that yes. After rethinking, discussions, literature search, you come to know that somebody may say that incident rate. I want to know that incident rates of hospitalization and death from COVID-19 in India. This you may want. So you are going to see the impact on the hospitalization and death rate due to COVID-19. And you may further narrow down it, and you can further say that, okay, I want to know the incident rate of hospitalization and death rate and death from the COVID-19 in India during January to May 2021 in urban area. You have specified. And now this will become the objective statement. So you can say that yes, I am working on this. I am going to collect the data, and I want to contact the hospitals to take the data, and I want to know that in the urban area, those hospitals are in the urban area, are data available in the government for the urban areas, and I want to know that what are the incident rates of the hospitalization and death from the COVID-19 during this period of time. So this is the workable proposition you have found, and this is the objective, and this is the problem actually you want to solve. Now, whenever you have the objectives, so doing all kind of literature search, while the group discussions, and you have narrow down, and you have finally written the objectives. And if this is the, if you can give this objective to anybody, and he will do the same work. So he will try to see that rate of hospitalization and death from COVID-19 in India during the January to May 2001 in the urban area. This is. So up to this you have the objectives. So whenever you have the objectives, then actually what you need, actually you need to, several terms are there. You can see that there are several terms here associated. So actually you need to go for the operational definition. So this is the, so first we have seen that you should have the area of interest. Once you have the area of interest, then you have the objectives, means you have the research problems. And once you have the objective to work on, then what you need to go, you need to do the provide the definitions, the terms you are going to use in your statement. So the technical terms, whatever you are going to use, or phrases you have to, they may have the special meanings, and you can say that okay, some may have the different, some statements may have the different meaning, and you can specify that okay, I mean that this is this. So any assumptions you may be uh, taking some assumptions or some postulate related to the research problem should be clearly stated. This means any assumptions you may want to work. So any limitations, you can say that okay, or any truth which is already which is, say, just like the sun rises in the east. So they all such assumptions you need to work. So whatever terms you have used, you have to properly define. Whatever assumptions you are going to use, you have to clearly mention. And what are the time period of the study, time period and source of data from where you, the source of data available, you can also have to mention. So, but at this time, actually, once you go for the operational definitions, then here actually we need to specify source of data will come. To find out the source of data, it will come in the later stage. But at the beginning, once you have the objective, then you have to go for the operational definitions. Means whatever terms you are going to use, you have to specify the meanings of those terms. So like this, in the previous example you have seen, so you need to define the what you mean by the labor productivity, like this, or what you mean by the productivity differential. You have to define clearly, this is the meaning of this and this is the meaning of this. So every researcher should not have any doubt. So these are the, so once you say labor productivity and productivity differential, once you are going to have defined, okay, this is the meaning of labor productivity and this is the meaning of productivity. Okay? So people will come to know that okay, yes, now you want the data from the labor productivity. Now you want data, you know, you need to see the, you may be interested to find out the productivity differential. So you have some new data on the productivity differential. So this is the examples. And for other examples, I have prepared like this: learning context-free grammars from positive structural examples. So learning context-free grammars, I have to define what you mean, what I mean by the context-free grammars. I have to define it first, and I need to define what I mean by the positive examples. Then I have to define that what I mean by the structural example. What I mean. So you need to define everything, and then I need to define the meaning of the automata, and then I need to define the meaning of tree automata. So the terms, whatever you are going to use in your objective statement, you have to define, and all such terms are the operational variables. So context-free grammars you need to learn. This is the variables actually you are getting, means this is the hypothesis you are going to learn, and this is the data. Once, so you have to define positive structural example. People should know that okay, what is the meaning of structural example and what you mean by the positiveness. So you are, this is the data you are getting. Then next stage you have to think about the data you are finding for the learning of the context-free grammar. Then you are going to use the tree automata. You have to define to the people public interest, okay, this tree automata means this. So people may know that, okay, yes, people may think, okay, this is the automata. They may not heard about the tree automata. So you have to properly define what you mean by the tree automata. So this is the case. In case of the third example, incident rates of hospitalization and death rate from COVID-19 in India during January to May 2021 in urban area. Now, what you need? You need to define the COVID-19. What do you mean by the COVID-19? So you can say that, okay, yes, coronavirus disease 19, or you can give 2-3 statement ki originated from this, since this to this. You have to define the hospitalization meaning, means what you mean by the hospitalization. Do you mean that, okay, the people at home and some medical facilities provided at home, some nurse comes, so this is the hospitalization, and you mean that the people who have been admitted in the public hospital or identified COVID hospitals, you mean by that hospital, and what you mean by the death rate. So you have to define. So all terms you have to define. And this is actually and once you define these terms, so these are actually the research variables. So actually these becomes the these becomes the research variables, because from you are going to get the examples. The positive structure, this is the input. So these are the variables. Variable takes some input. Here you need that you have to identify the medical data, and in medical data you will find out the person name and hospitalization and period from May to, you may have January to May 2000. You have to see the period. These are the data available you will find. So okay, yes, hospitalization, yes or no. How many? Who are the? You can take the government data, and it has the record. Somebody might have tested, uh, might have tested. So you have the record now in the from with the government, and in the government you can see that, okay, XYZ was tested positive, whether he was admitted or not, hospitalized or not, yes or no. So this is the variable. It is getting the data. How many patients admitted and how many patients have been was in the tested positive and recovered or not recovered. You can have the data recovered or death, like this. So these are the variables, and these are the variables. So whatever operational definitions you are going to give, actually these becomes the variables. Now whenever you go for the study, then generally you will find that variables, someone may be the dependent variables and someone may be the independent variables. So like say that I can say, you can see the examples. Incident rates of the hospitalization and death rate of from the COVID-19 in India. You want to study the death rate, those who have been hospitalized and death rate. How you are going to study. So here actually, so incident rate of the hospitalization and death rate. So which one is the independent variable? You can say that XY is admitted, recovered, or death. So you do have the data. So which one is data? So can you say that this is this is the independent, or COVID-19 is independent? So see that you have to see the cause and effect. So the data, the variables which are independent variables, they are the cause, and what are the effect, that is the dependent. So actually death is COVID-19. The death is because the COVID-19. So this is the independent variable actually. COVID-19 is the independent variable because this is the cause. This is the cause, and effect may be the effect may be the death. So this is the cause, and this is the dependent variable. Death is caused by the COVID-19. So one is cause and one is the effect. So this kind of variables you have to identify. Someone is like here you have the hospitalization and death. So hospitalization is the independent variable. Death is not independent variable. Means you are not. death is not the reason for the hospitalization. You have the hospitalization, then you may have the effect, maybe this kind of thing. So you have some dependent variable and someone is the, you have to carefully identify such variables, and then you can make the study what is the cause and what is the effect, and during the study actually you are going to do this thing as research. Besides this, if somebody tells that okay, I have found that okay, this is the 5% or 10% people, 5% people, those who have been admitted in the hospital, they they okay, could not be recovered, means they are dead. So if you are making this statement and submit the paper, okay, 5% person, those who have been admitted in the hospital, and they they could not survive. And once you have this research study and you are going to send to the publication, or you can make, you want to aid, once you have the conclusion and you want to aid into the body of knowledge, this is the knowledge already exists, and you want to know that those who are admitted in the hospital in the urban area and 5% people died. Now, if you have this, because you have the collected the data, you have analyzed the data, you have found out the this thing, this percentage. Now, if you want to add into the body of knowledge, then you have to send somewhere so that people accept it. Means you can send to the government or you can send to the publication, whatever. So, what you need, whenever you send this result, then see that people have, this has number of things. You have hospitalized, means you have been admitted because of the COVID-19. It does not mean that you have died because of the hospitalization. Many persons have been recovered. So somebody, you might have had admitted the hospital, and persons might be diabetic, or person might be the fatty, and person might have some other say some allergy problems or something. So that may be also the reason of death. Means somebody say that a COVID 5% person died in the urban area uh, because of the COVID. You have identified. The COVID is not the only reason. There are other factors also. Everyone, it does not mean that the person who is suffering from the COVID is going to die. It is not the case. So the other factors are, somebody might have the diabetic or not, someone is fatty or not, or someone is having the other some chronic disease or not, or someone has some earlier allergy problems or not. There are a number of factors. Someone might have the some mentally mental background or family background. All such things are affected. Some might have the, some may be the already in the pressure of the losing the jobs. This may also be the pressure. Someone might have also shocked about the in bad things happen in his family, in his or her family. This may also be the reason. So all are such also the things we need to consider in study. You cannot make that okay, because of the COVID-19 death is comes. The death may be the other. It may not only the COVID-19. It can, death may cause by some other factors also. So you have to carefully study, and you can find out that how many the persons where the diabetic or not diabetic, or where the allergy problems are fatty, or you then you can identify the how many persons, those who were the healthy, no such diseases, no such allergy problem, and they died. Then people accept. Otherwise, once you send this conclusion, the 5% person died due to the because of the COVID-19. So this is, people will ask, referees will ask. So these are known as the confounding variables. So these are the confounders, means these are the doubts actually. So, and what is the object? You, once you proceed for the research, and you have to clear all your doubts. So once you go for this kind of study, then you have to mention that I am also I'm considering the diabetic factors also, allergy factors also, fatty conditions also, chronic disease also, or some hypertensions of the patients, or some family backgrounds, financial status of the person. So people will ask whether you have considered all such factors or not. So most of the time your paper is going to reject because of this kind of the confounders. So once you are going to study in your research, you must take care about the all possible confounders. So you have to see that what are the other factors those are affecting. They are not directly dependent or independent, but indirectly they are affecting for the results. So you have to identify the confounder, and if you have the good study, good objectives, then your good objectives should reduce the confounders. And that's why once you go for the research, you have to mention each and every condition. You have to handle all possible confounders. Okay, these factors have been included in the study. Otherwise, your paper will be rejected. And people will ask you that whether you have included this factor in the study or not. And if you have not included, then you have to update and you have to. So you have to take care about the confounders. So dependent variables, independent variables, directly you can identify, but there are some factors which are known as the confounders, and you have to identify and you have to take care of those confounders. Your research study must take care of all possible confounders. Then your paper is accepted, and then you will be able to add your conclusion into the body of knowledge. So this is very, very important. Okay. So you have already, we have already done, means you have the statement and just list out, underline COVID-19, death, because these are the data. Because later you have to think that these are the variables, and you need to search for the data. Okay, these data variables are there in my statement, and I have to find out the data. So you have to do like this. Okay. So beside the independent dependent variables, you have to take care. This is very, very important. You have to take care of all such confounding variables. So this is very, very necessary. So what we have done, so at the beginning we have started from the area of interest, then we have gone for the objectives. Means you have some problems, you might have gone for the review of literatures, group discussions, expert, contacted the expert. And again, this may happen that after doing the literature review, you may go for the modification of objective. And this can, you can, from the objective, you can go to the literature review. From literature review, again, you come to the objectives for the refinement, and you are going to do the refinement. So you are narrow down the research problem from the general terms to the, so that it should become the workable objectives. So till now you have find out the area of interest, you have the objectives, you have done the literature survey, contacted the persons, contacted the group of the person, experts, your supervisors, and you have come up with the objectives. And then from the objectives you have see the you have identified the operational definitions, means clearly defined the terms you are going to use. Okay, so like COVID-19, so you have to define what you mean by the COVID-19. You can say that a coronavirus disease, like this. So you can write the full definition of the terms you are going to use. And out of the variables, you have identified the variables, those are the independent and dependent. And also, while doing the literature search, while doing the group discussion, while doing the brainstorming sessions, contacting your supervisors, expert, related person, all such exercise you have done, and you have identified all the confounders, means all the factors you have identified, what factors can affect your study, and you are going to take care of that. And once you have done this thing, then this is the work. From this stage you can proceed the work. So this becomes the workable objectives. And now you can send the proposal. So you can write the in the your proposal, okay, this is the objective. So once you do this kind of exercise, then only you will have the clear and unambiguous objectives here. So you will have up to, once you do this kind of exercise, then you will have the objectives. So it should be, you have done this kind of. So once you have done this kind of job, then say that 50% work you have done for your research work. And this is the very important actually. Otherwise, after 3 years, after 2 years, after 4 years, people are not able to frame the objective that are clear and unambiguous. So this is, it looks very simple, but reaching at this state, if you are saying that okay, this is my current state, and if you are at this state, then you have the objectives, clear objectives, and this is the only important things. And how you are going to develop this clear objectives? Because of the all such exercise you have done. So this is very important.